Greetings and welcome today, 153 Ashmore Street. Of course, we've actually got some really big rocks in here, and your footpath here with your driveway there and your hedge there is a bit of a mish. If you happen to be driving a lowered car, you're going to struggle with that. It might be worthwhile thinking about taking to that with a wee concrete grinder, chipping it back, busting out the old concrete that used to be the wall. Obviously they've put the car park in. Look, there's no issue with that. This is a council formed driveway. It's been here for forever and a day. Part of me doesn't know why they don't have a formed crossing effectively. So technically we are supposed to be sealed back 5 meters from the roadway. So obviously the footpath there is going to take care of about 2.5 meters of that, but technically you're supposed to have a hard seal here. That said, they don't inspect that anymore, so you're not really going to get beaten up for that. But certainly a good add value thing to do for this house would be sealing your driveway, and certainly getting rid of some of the bigger rocks in here. It's even if you don't seal, put some smaller gravel down, make it a bit higher. That might be of great benefits. Okay, so we're staring down the barrel of a 1960s-ish house. The roof has been replaced. We've got all teak screws up there. Now this is one of the weirder feats you'll ever see, in as much as it is timber, but I've canted it to make the secondary gable there. That's quite a nice wee architectural flourish. Now from the photos, I thought this was corrugated asbestos, but it's not. It's actually weatherboard. And they've got some ventilation stripping down there, which is good. They've obviously done a little bit of repair work and patching up in and around. PVC spooting. So the only potential downsides you've got here is obviously your downspout isn't going directly into the receiver. You'll get some overflow when this is really humming. 65mm downspout is minimal, but it's not a huge house, so it's probably not the end of the world. Skipping here. Just that little bit of movement in weatherboard. You see that one bowed out there a bit. They've bogged and filled. Like, the paint job's actually pretty good quality. We've got some vent plates. It's quite interesting with the lean out. Now that's actually quite a good feature, because what it means is that you get a drip edge, form drip edge away from the house. Definitely beneficial. Right, and in we go. So the smell of fresh paint permeates the air. This is good. Oh, you've got Frank with me today. He's helping me fill out bits and pieces. He builds database bits on my back end, and so often, every so often, we hang together and we can look at the problems and make sure our data matches its purpose. And he helps me to be more efficient, which always helps. So this door here, what's a little bit weird about this is the striker plate. You expect some flexion in an older door. Striker plate's just positioned back a little bit, so you're getting that little bit of rattle potentially. But the adjustment's pretty good. And one thing I really like is, of course, as a deadbolt, you've got a latch. So if you need to get out, you can get out whether you've got the key or not, which is great. That's what you want. Now we've got a little bit of dinging in our walls here and here. It'll be outside light, it's inside. Now these are just bucket lights, so theoretically we're supposed to maintain insulation clearance around these. And the problem with that is, of course, it does suck rather a lot of heat up and out. So do consider, at the very least, replacing these bucket downlights with LEDs. If they're IC rated, then you can insulate over them, and that is quite a good thing to do, because insulation keeps houses warm for cheap. Ooh, this is good. There's not that many houses in the end with this. It's got the negative rebate detail on the windows. What that does is really substantially cuts down drafts. So I'm a big fan. Again, it almost points to, I found out the company that started manufacturing these a few weeks ago, but I can't remember their name now. Okay, that's all good. Must be a little ball of office right there. Winston Peters will be stoked. There's a bit of broken trim there. I'd probably be inclined to try and join that. Now, how to do that is a little bit of a trick. if you watch Japanese joinery on YouTube, you'll see 1,001 ways of replacing that bit of timber so well it doesn't even need nails. However, for the rest of us mere mortals, what I would possibly do here is cut something resembling a V, like that and like that, and a V like that and like that, and then clean that paint back, clean that off, obviously. Aliphatic wood glue on the joints, and then put your new piece of timber that matches back in. Let the glue set, and then sand and then paint. I wouldn't necessarily worry about the chipped bits down here. That just tells me the window's been used, which is good. Okay, now our wall through. Would this have originally been as open as this? And it's possible actually for this vintage that it was, but you see that of course I put new ceilings and scotias and everything in. Our heat pump is clearly functioning. You can see the dust build up, which tells us most of what we need to know. It's going to need its service sooner than later. We'll make it run more efficiently. Damn good clean, would never hurt. So yeah, just give it a service and clean the filters as you use it once every couple of months. You see you get a little bit of condensation forming down here, but as long as the paint stays in good order, which at the moment it is, that's not going to pose any issues. Yeah, the dining room is a fantastic idea. It's quite small, and certainly somebody wearing a tool belt will not be able to sit down at your table and eat. This is quite interesting. I'm not sure why they did the bench top join like this. Right, I see what they've done. So this is older hardware, probably MDF. Yep. Not as old as the house though. No, full plastic. Oh, there we go. So you've got reasonably significant wear to your cabinetry, but they have just painted it up and replaced the handles, and got a little bit about that one, didn't we, people? These aren't clip-ons, these are screw-ons, so you've got to tighten this screw and adjust it for it to grab. There might be significant wear there. See a little bit of swelling and whatnot on the base of that one. That's what happens when you put your stuff away wet. Bushy. It's not quite brand spanking new, but tidy enough. Again, all the doors are just starting to show the signs of wear. This has clearly had the odd leak through, a bit of swelling there, big sag, not much support in the middle. No obvious current signs of leaks. What's our sink? Ah, right, that's most interesting. So your sink obviously has holds water. We can say that with reliability, but we also know that the sink opener is not working. So yeah, back to manual, pick it up, pull it out. Good to see an overflow in the drain pan. Bench top. They have painted the bench top. Now I might be stating the bleeding obvious, but paint is not typically a particularly hard wearing surface. So in time you will need to repaint this again, or consider just replacing the bench tops, at which point you might just consider replacing the cabinets. There's not a huge amount of them, so it's not going to be eye-poppingly expensive. There is nothing fundamentally wrong with using painted MDF, but do bear in mind MDF will fail faster than full Meltica. Just by nature, it's a very absorbent product. Again, you get that bit of condensation sign there. Not too worried about that. Double glazing would solve that. And actually, EVR is an outfit in Dunedin that retrofits on the exterior face, which is non-invasive and removable, reversible, and cheap. Might be worth having a look at what they've got to offer, because double glazing in this house would make a huge difference and wouldn't necessarily cost that much, especially not using that sort of methodology. Okay, so now we go over here where we could fit a fridge potentially up to about 570 easily, 565 even, or if you don't mind feeling cramped, you can fit up to about 600, which is a fairly standard size. Okay, hot water cylinder. Doesn't look that old, but hasn't got seismic restraints. 2004. So it's pre-Christchurch. Seismic restraint really only started enforcing hard post-Christchurch for obvious reasons. It'd be worthwhile fitting some seismic restraint in here. Why we do it, it helps to preserve a drinking water supply in the event of a natural disaster or water outage or whatever else it happens to be. And that keeps people alive. We're supposed to be resilient for, what have we got? 3 days before help comes is what the civil defence tells us. Now this vinyl in here is quite the curiosity. I can't say as I've seen vinyl break itself to bits like this. That's probably from when the original leak happened. Suggestions? I mean, yeah, there'll be nice timber underneath there. It'll probably be a bit water stained, as you can see the water stain marks there. But there's a small chance that the base material for that or the adhesive contain asbestos. So just beware of that with that old vinyl. I didn't talk about the floorboards in here. I think I saw just scuffs. That's right. It's just scuffs. Good. No signs of borer surfacing. Scuffs, the easiest way to avoid scuffs is actually a really high build of polyurethane. The higher the build, the less likely it is to scuff. And if you want to get really flash, use something like Moisture Cure. Here we've put a couple of flash door stops. They were intended to be fitted somewhere, but they are not. But where were they intended to be fitted? There. Oh, there is one there. There is one there. There's only two, so